If you like Mafia, then you're going to love Mafia 2, with more of everything that made the original great. You can expect even more intense story missions, more dramatic cutscenes, and of course, more chances to cause total havoc. The game follows the story of two best friends who get mixed up with the Mafia. We played as them as they rise through the ranks and take on bigger and bigger jobs for their newfound criminal family. But after a while, things start to go wrong. Loyalties are tested, and our characters find themselves having to choose between doing the right thing or following their own self-interest. And in the end, there's only one outcome where everyone gets what they deserve. This is Mafia 2. One last favor, one final betrayal. Since this is a direct sequel, it does pick up right after the events of the first game, but we do play as different characters. Our main character this time around is Vito, an Italian immigrant who comes to the US in the hopes of making something of himself. Unfortunately, he quickly finds out that making an honest living isn't easy. He has very little education and no work experience, meaning his only options for employment are manual labor jobs that don't pay well. This means he's stuck working low-paying odd jobs until one day he reunites with an old friend from Italy named Joe. Joe has made something of himself since moving to the States, and he offers Vito a way out of his dead-end job by getting him a position as a driver for the local Mafia family, which Vito accepts. However, it doesn't take long for Vito to learn that being a Mafia driver is anything but glamorous. At first, he mostly does simple errands for the family, such as driving other members around or picking up supplies. However, he soon finds himself involved in some more shady activities. For example, he's tasked with transporting stolen goods, or even has to act as a getaway driver for robberies. Despite this, Vito seems happy to have found a job where he actually earns a decent wage. But this quickly changes when his brother-in-law Derek warns him about getting mixed up with dangerous people. As the story progresses, we find out that Derek works as a police informant, and he's been trying to get Vito to stay away from the Mafia, because he doesn't want his sister to be put in danger. Unfortunately, Vito doesn't listen, and he continues working for the Mafia, eventually getting promoted to become a full-fledged member. As he rises through the ranks, he takes on more and more dangerous assignments, all of which further cementing his loyalty to the family. At the same time, though, he also becomes closer with Derek and starts listening to his advice. This creates a lot of internal conflict for Vito, especially after he meets Derek's sister Laura, who he falls in love with. It's clear that Vito wants to leave the Mafia life behind, but he feels like he owes too much to the family to simply walk away. This struggle between his desire for a normal life and his sense of duty to the Mafia ultimately leads to a tragic climax, where Vito has to make a choice that will affect everyone around him forever. Let's just say that his final decision definitely doesn't disappoint. So now that you know what the story is about, here's what you need to know if you want to play it. Gameplay-wise, Mafia 2 is pretty similar to the original, but with a few key differences. The combat is still mostly close range, and the cover system is still there. But there's now a greater emphasis on stealth, and there's a larger variety of weapons available to use. In addition, there's also more complex enemy AI and an improved pathfinding system, which makes encounters feel more dynamic and challenging. The game also features a brand new engine, along with improved graphics and visuals over its predecessor. In terms of setting, Mafia 2 is set in the fictional Empire Bay, which is heavily inspired by New York City during the 1940s and 50s. So you can expect to see a lot of iconic locations such as Times Square, Central Park, and even the Brooklyn Bridge. The city is also fully open to explore, so you can drive around and cause havoc whenever you want. But keep in mind that doing this early on in the game will result in an early game over. Overall, Mafia 2 is a great game with an amazing story and memorable characters. It's definitely worth playing if you haven't already. Speaking of which, there's another game I highly recommend you play, which is the equally amazing The Godfather 2. I won't spoil anything, but let's just say that the ending is absolutely fantastic. If you want to find out how a seemingly ordinary guy becomes the most feared gangster in the world, then you should definitely check it out. Now, I'm not sure if you've heard this before, but apparently there's a secret Mafia game that was never supposed to be released. Apparently it was almost canceled, but thanks to a small group of dedicated developers, it was finished and somehow it remained hidden from the public eye for years. What's crazy is that even today it's still not officially available on any stores. Instead, You have to know the secret password to be able to access it. Yeah, you heard that right, a secret password. Apparently only a few trusted people know it. Since I am one of those people, I can tell you that the game is called Mafia, the City of Lost Heaven. It's the spiritual successor to Mafia 2, and it has a very unique art style that sets it apart from the rest of the games. Unlike the rest of the games, which are set in the United States, this one is set in the Czech lands of the early 20th century. The game also features a brand new story and characters, but it remains true to the series' core gameplay. There are about 30 hours of gameplay in total, and since this is a top-down game, you can expect to see a lot of stealth and strategy involved. Honestly, this game is amazing, and I wish more people knew about it, but sadly it looks like it'll remain a secret for the foreseeable future. That is why I'm giving you guys the opportunity to play it by providing you with the necessary tools. With these tools, you'll be able to download the game and play it for yourself. Keep in mind that this game is unfinished and has a lot of bugs, but it's still fun to play regardless. Also, please don't share this video with anyone else. Thanks for understanding. Mafia 2 received generally favorable reviews upon release, with critics praising its story and characters, as well as its open-world environment and side quests. Some critics felt that the combat and AI could have been better, but overall they were satisfied with the game's improvements over its predecessor. Overall, Mafia 2 is a fantastic game that's definitely worth playing. Its story and characters are top-notch, and the gameplay is solid too. It's not perfect, but it's still one of the best games in the genre. If you haven't played it yet, then I highly recommend you do. It's a game that you won't forget anytime soon. Now, I want to ask you a question. Have you played Mafia 2? If so, what did you think of it? I'm really interested in hearing your thoughts on the game. Also, if you enjoyed this video, then please leave a like as it really helps me out. Thank you for watching.